Hello there, welcome to the Core Masterclass. I can't wait to share these 4 secrets or the 4 common mistakes that people usually make with core exercises. And I know a lot of it stems from good intentions. You hear all this good stuff about the importance of strengthening your core to reduce back pain and more. So you're in the right place if you've heard that, and that's the reason why you're looking to strengthen your core and learn from these mistakes so you don't repeat them yourself. I'm so excited to share this information with you. But before we get started, a couple housekeeping things. So make sure to turn off all distractions. This time is for you so you can fill your cup, so that way you can better serve others. If you're a mom, a dad, you have a significant other, friends, family that you care about, your work, you can give more energy and focus in the future. If you dedicate this time now, it will open the doors for future things without as much pain and discomfort. So turn off all distractions, get a pen and paper, because I'm going to actually show you some things, so I'm not going to have too many slides and such. I know your time's valuable, so I don't really want to waste times with that kind of thing. I just want to get right into the nuts and bolts of these 4 mistakes so you can learn from them and start implementing today. Are you with me? You excited? All right, okay. So, first of all, who am I? So quick little side story here. I'm a physical therapist. I have my doctorate from Chapman University here in Orange County. I am a practicing physical therapist. I own my own practice. It's Ignite Wellness. I combine yoga, massage, physical therapy, coaching, and more, online or in person here in Encinitas, California. And how I got started on this journey is a bit through my own injuries. I used yoga and physical therapy to heal from a few surgeries on my wrist and my shoulder. I was a springboard diver. And then in my 30s, I actually had a debilitating disc injury with nerve pain and weakness. And again, I used a lot of what I'm going to show you to heal my body, get my yoga practice full. If you follow me on Instagram, you can see some fun pictures there. It's Ignite Your Wellness with the UR. And I don't have any issues with my back right now, and how I keep it healthy is what I will show you. I also have a history of colon cancer. I have a genetic mutation called Lynch syndrome, and I tell you this because we all deal with something in our health, in our body, in our wellness, or maybe it's our mind, our own blocks and resistance. And I just want to tell you that I'm just like you. Like, even though I'm a physical therapist, a yoga teacher, and I have a ton of knowledge at hand, which I'm so excited to share with you, I work through my own stuff. I go to see my own practitioners. I have my own doctor appointments. I work with my own fears, my own listening to my body and paying attention to boundaries and all this sorts of stuff that we all need to do to stay healthy and well and live our life to the fullest, and maybe more importantly, keep doing the activities that you love, whether it be yoga, or CrossFit, or surfing, or just getting on the ground and playing with your kids. So I'm in it with you. What I'm going to teach you is actually what I do and what I practice in my life. I will never teach you anything that I don't do or I wouldn't recommend. I try to stay authentic in my message as possible. So that's what makes me so passionate about sharing this message, is that no matter what your diagnosis is, whether it be a degenerative disc disease, a herniation, maybe even a tear, or it's more of a health-related issue like mine, is that there's still hope. There's always hope, and it's learning how to reconcile the choices at hand. But that's another message for another day. You can always head over to the podcast, Ignite Your Wellness. It's on any major platform, and here's some of these type of conversations I have with health practitioners, inspiring stories of active adults that overcome their own either back-related or injury-related or health-related, cancer-related issues themselves, and that might bring it home to you because they're just like you as well. So that's the story. That's my why as to why I do all the things that I do. And I love sharing these messages and putting out this free content because I want you to have hope. I want you to know that there is a way that you can feel better. Now, things might not be 100% perfect. There are sometimes some things in the body that I cannot change, right? Sometimes that's just how it is. Like, I cannot change my genetic mutation. However, I can learn to live with it, and I can learn to live life to the fullest and do what I enjoy and be the best mom that I love to be with my daughter. So what's your why? Before we even get started on the physical, tangible things, let's figure out why you even showed up here in the first place. Why do you want to learn these core secrets? So get out your pen, get out your paper, take a few minutes here, just write it down. Why do you want to strengthen your core? It seems simple, right? Well, because I want to protect my low back. I want to feel better. I want to feel stronger. Whatever it is for you, write that down. And now I have another question for you. Why do you want to feel stronger? Why do you want your back to hurt less? It might seem like a silly question. Well, duh, I just want to feel better. Why do you want to feel better? And this is going to start to open the doors to some deeper reasons or deeper layers of why. Maybe, like for me, I want to feel better and I want to have hope. So I can be the best mom, the best wife that I can be. I can be the best practitioner to all my clients and my patients. I want to be able to not worry about when I'm in a session. I want to be able to worry about that person's issues, that person's problems, and I don't want to even have to think or consider like my body in that moment, because I know that I'm strong, I'm flexible, I'm capable, I'm well, so I can put my focus on that person, whether it be online or in person. And so that's my why. So why do you want to feel good in your body? Why do you want to have less pain? What does that open up? Maybe it's freedom in life, freedom to say yes, freedom to say yes to your friends to going to the gym without worry that you're going to have a setback in your back. Maybe it's yes to saying yes to your favorite yoga class, your favorite yoga teacher without worry of having a flare up or your back locking up afterwards. What will these core secrets give you in your life? Write them down. Just another couple minutes here, and then we're going to move forward with the actual secrets. Beautiful. So the reason why I had you do this is because, yes, I'm going to teach you these secrets. You're going to learn them right now. You can implement them today. However, there's going to be days that maybe you don't want to do your core strengthening, or maybe the secret is going to hit like a button or a resistance point for you that it feels different, awkward, or uncomfortable. And that's good, because that means you're going to be changing a new pattern of either how you move or how you think. And remember, the thinking, the way that you moved that got you into this problem, whether it be back pain or weakness or whatever it is, it requires, or even if you want to be preventative, right, it will require you to evolve and grow. So that means you have to think differently, you have to move differently. And the body is the body mind is a very efficient thing. It likes to just have ingrained patterns of moving and thinking because it's quick. So we don't always have to, it's unconscious, it goes on in the background. So we don't always have to check in and figure out what the next step is and walk through life step by step by step. We kind of flow and go through these patterns, and that allows us to be efficient human beings and have lots of energy, right? Not spending all this mental time breaking everything down. However, when you're learning something new, like, okay, let's say maybe I highlight a mistake and you're like, oh shoot, that's me, that's totally what I do when I strengthen my core or whatnot, and now you need to implement this change so you can get a different result or be preventative or heal or whatever it is. It's uncomfortable, right? But if you tap, because you have to slow down, you have to think about it, it's monotonous, and it takes a lot of repetition to get there. So I'm just telling you that. I'm sorry, there's no easy way out of it. There's no magic pill around this. But if you stay connected to that deeper why of being the best parent that you can be, being able to say yes to your friends, or freedom in your body, or freedom to choose whatever activity that you want to do, not have to sit on the sidelines of life on the couch because you're afraid what might happen in your back. You have to remember those issues when you just want to get back into the same old, or if you don't want to do your core, or whatever it is, you have to tap back into that why. So that's why I had you do that first off, right off the bat. Okay, so here's a brief overview of what's coming next. I'm going to go over the four common mistakes I see with core, but stay with me to the end because I also have some next steps following that and some sweet deals for those of you for sticking with me through this whole entire thing. So, okay, you ready for step one? Step one is pretty a given. It's not paying attention to alignment when strengthening the core. And in a moment here, I'm going to get down on the mat and I'm going to show you what I mean. But a lot of the times we start doing core activities, again, because we have the best intention for ourselves. However, sometimes when we're in the moment of strengthening the core, we're doing all kinds of crazy things for whatever reason. Maybe we feel pressured for time. Maybe we just really want to go for it. Maybe it's because we think that's what we're supposed to do. All these crazy things. And in number two, mistake number one and number two actually relate together a lot, is that I find a lot of times people either aren't paying attention to their alignment. So for example, if they're doing that twisting one where you're bringing the elbow to the knee, they're like really cranking on their neck, or they're mashing on their jaw, or they're like causing way too much pressure in the discs, in the spine itself. So they're just going for it way too much, too quickly, too aggressively. And that actually, especially if you have any kind of disc issue, that makes it worse. So if you already have an underlying sensitivity with your discs, it's just gonna increase your likelihood that it's gonna make that pain worse and flare it up. So number one is really slowing down, and this is the hard part. So when you're in the moment of doing a core exercise, so I'm gonna hop down here onto the mat. I'm just gonna make sure that you can see me here. So when you're down on the mat here, like there's several ways to go about doing the core, and it's not quantity over quality. Quality is so much more better. So much better than the quantity. So if you are going, this bicycle exercise, I'm doing this at top of my mind because I teach a hot yoga class and I see all kinds of crazy things. So it's so much better to shorten your range of motion and lift with your deep core, which I'm going to get to in a moment, and keep the range of motion small, so my legs aren't completely extended. I'm not lifting very high off the ground. I'm not forcing my back to the ground. I'm going very slow and controlled, so I can really make sure I'm isolating the strengthening where I want it and not cranking down on my neck. So that is huge, because otherwise you're just doing some neck range of motion in a very constricted place, and then you might end up with neck pain. The other thing is like, we all have a natural curve of our low back. One huge alignment issue that I see quite frequently in yoga and in the strength training world is that we know we need to engage our core, right? But the problem is that, and again, this is leading to number two a little bit, mistake number two, is that we overdo and we do this tucking of the tail, and again, that's too much pressure, too much force on the disc. So one thing that you need to start to learn how to do, and you can practice this lying down on the ground in the hook lying position with the knees bent, or you can practice it sitting, standing, and then eventually bringing it into movement, but is learning how to strengthen your core, the transverse abdominis specifically, by drawing the belly button to the spine, right? And that is the movement that is especially in yoga, especially in strength training, hiking, that's your boundary. So when you feel like you're losing that core, or you're over tucking or overdoing, that's when you need to stop the exercise. And so now, you know, a question I get a lot of times, well, Allison, how do I know? That's the benefit of working with someone, going to a teacher, whether it be online, I'm watching through a video, or you're coming into the clinic. We actually look and see how you're moving, because let me make sure I'm not going to get to another, in number 3, I'll highlight a story of a patient who thought he was strengthening his core, but he really wasn't, and it was contributing to his back issue. So just know that alignment really does matter. So slowing down, taking your time, and feeling your deep core, your transverse abdominis, is best, while maintaining the natural curves of the spine. So if you have questions on this, you don't really know what the deep core even is, this is the first time you're hearing it, reply to this email. I'll help you to find out your deep core. It's called the transverse abdominis, and there's a very different way to engage the deep core, which I'm going to highlight in number 3, versus the more superficial abs. Okay, so that brings me to lesson number 2. The other mistake I commonly see is people just overdoing their core, whether it be mashing their back on the ground, like I said, I was highlighting that forward head, really aggressively tucking the tail, or I see kinds of crazy things in the gym, because I like to strength train. Well, I shouldn't say I love to strength train. I go to strength train for myself because I know it's important, where people are on the Bosu, right, doing a plank pose, and then they're lifting a leg and they're lifting an arm, and they have a band around their legs and they're wobbling all over the place, and they're losing that foundation, right? They're doing all these crazy exercises, I don't know, because maybe a personal trainer told them to, or they just want to challenge themselves, or they feel like a simple plank pose is too easy, all that kind of stuff. But it's so common, I see this, like for example, someone doing this on a Bosu or anywhere, just the ground, and they're kicking a leg and they're twisting, or they're collapsing through the spine. So again, that's why number 2 and number 1 are so related, is because they're losing the foundational alignment because they're overdoing. And that is a twofold mistake, because again, it puts you at more risk for injury, even though you might be doing that particular exercise to prevent injury or heal from injury. You're actually putting yourself at more risk for injury, and it can flare up your current issues. So and it's not helping you at all. So you sometimes, again, that takes another set of eyes to really look, someone with the knowledge of what the foundational core is, and then there's ways to strengthen even what might seem as the simplest ab exercise, like plank pose or foundational toe taps, working with the transverse. There's ways to really challenge those and make them hard and difficult for even the strongest people. I find that even the big bodybuilders, the people that are in the gym all the time strengthening, sometimes even those people, they're strengthening so much the bigger muscles that they're losing this connection to or they're doing these really crazy like core or functional exercises with so much going on that they're losing that foundational piece. And then without, it's like lacking the foundation of your house. If you don't have that slab of concrete or whatever on the ground, then everything going up is rickety or out of place or lacking alignment. So we need our ground floor, right? Okay, so number 3 is, tagging upon this, it's not strengthening the true core. So our abdominals are actually, there's 4 of them. I'll just do a super brief anatomy here. You have your rectus abdominis, you have your external obliques, your internal obliques underneath those, and then a layer horizontally across called the transverse abdominis. The ones that we really want to focus on to help stabilize the pelvis, the back, even translates all the way up to the head, the hips, the knees. If we're efficiently using these true cores, are the transverse, the deep one, and the obliques, because they wrap around to the thoracolumbar fascia in the back and kind of provide that core set stability, where the rectus is more in the front. And I see a lot of people training the rectus through sit-ups and various exercises. And a couple of things happen, like again, they irritate their discs, or if they're female, then when they get pregnant, they're putting themselves at a higher risk for a diastasis because they're so tight through their rectus that when the baby grows, there's no room for it to go. So the skin actually the fascia has to separate, right? Or the other thing I see happening is like one of my patients, active young guy, surfer, into like taking care of himself, thought like for practicing yoga for a few years, always thought that he was engaging his core. And then when he had an episode of back pain and ended up in my office, we were going over, I was like, well, show me how you engage your core. And what he was doing is, when you want to engage your core, you want to maintain that natural curve of the spine, a slight arch, not too much arch, but you don't want to tuck the tail either. So you want to maintain that natural curve as you draw the belly button towards the spine. There's a subtle lifting up of the pelvic floor as well. The diaphragm is even involved. So it's a very complex maneuver. And what he was doing when he was engaging his core is actually pushing out. Which is more rectus and not transverse. So he was irritating his discs. He wasn't even stabilizing his spine when he was engaging his core, and it was feeding into his problem instead of helping it. So again, if you're not sure of what you're doing and you want a set of eyes to look at you, make sure you reach out to me, okay? I'll help you. That's number 3. Number 4 is thinking the core is the magic pill, right? So I have so many patients and clients. I even have people that call me on the phone or request one of my, fill out a form online. And they tell me like, oh, I need to work my core. That's what they tell me that they need to come in with. That's their issue. And then when I get talking to them on the phone more, it ends up they want to strengthen their core because they have a back issue, right? And they were doing some internet sleuthing, and they heard in YouTube or Google or whatnot that the core was the answer to their back problem. So then they end up on my website and they're like, I'm going to ask Allison to help me strengthen the core. And yes, this is important. The core is important. But as I said, the core is a very complex thing where your diaphragm's involved. You have to be strengthening efficiently, quality over quantity. What exercises are really going to be most appropriate to you for your issue. And there's so much more that goes into it. Like, what about your flexibility, right? Your range of motion, your ability to bend forward, your psoas, your hamstrings, for example. And not only just the flexibility, what's happening on the right side, your right hip, how does that move compared to your left? Is there a big difference, and why? What about your overall glute strength, your thigh strength? How does it all work together functionally? What about your nervous system? What's your body's capacity to handle load and stress, whether that be physically or emotionally or mentally? Or what do you do mentally when you have stress? Do you internalize it? So there's this whole complex, intricate, synergistic working of your nervous system, of your mind, of your muscle strength, of the flexibility. It all works together to give us the wellness, to be able to go to a yoga mat whenever, or go to a yoga class and perform complex maneuvers, or go to CrossFit and snatch, or go on a hike with your friends, or get down on the ground and play with your kids. All these inner workings of things are happening. And the only way to heal completely and fully, and then again work preventatively for the future, so you really minimize the times that you have to take days off of work or not focus on your work because you can't sit because you're in so much pain, is to work with this whole complex layer of more than just the core. So yes, the core is important, but it's not everything. And I think that's where people go awry all the time, is they're only focusing on the core, and they're overdoing the core, and it's making their problem worse instead of better. So what do you think? What do you relate to? What was your biggest mistake or takeaway? Take a moment and just write that down. Let things just integrate here for a moment. And again, on the podcast, there's some real life stories. All of them are titled Real Life Story, of people just like you working through all these issues, just like you, and getting successful results. You'll hear their stories, and it's always, healing is not a straight linear line. And you'll hear from a lot of them that there's a bit of trial and error and setbacks. And when you have your foundation, your true exercises, including the core and more that really work for you, that's what gives you the confidence, and that's what gives you the hope. So if you're really looking to develop that unique program, that's what I'm here for. And for listening and watching this whole video, I have a couple options for you. So I have a free consultation. If you want to, I'll send you the link via email, or you can always reply back to me, or head over to igniteyourwellnesswithur.com and fill out any of those forms, the JOT form, like requesting a free consultation. I'll get you in the schedule right away, and we can begin to talk about your issue, your goals, and how I can best serve you. So that is one way. It's completely free. If you don't decide not to work with me, no worries, no strings attached. You can go about your way, but I'm here for you. I also have an online program, the Heal Your Low Back Blueprint, which is a comprehensive program walking you through, yes, the core, how to really strengthen the deep core step by step, but I also go through those other areas of flexibility and strength, mobility, nervous system, breath work, so you get that diaphragm component. It's everything you need to help heal your core and more. So if you're interested in either of these, make sure that you use the link in the email, or respond to me, or head to the website, and do this sooner rather than later. I of course have bonuses for you, like I have a sequence for the upper back and neck, I have a yoga flow for the low back. I do have specials for you. We can talk about all that. But more importantly, what really should urge you to take action right now is that if you don't do this now, or invest your time and money now, you will have to invest later. Most of the time when that happens, it's at an urgency, like our back locks up one day and takes us unexpectedly, and we have to take time off of work. We can't even be the mom or dad that we want to be because we end up being on the couch. We have to race to doctors that we don't even like, that sort of thing. So my goal is to get you before you end up in that scenario. And if you've been there, no worries, let's just not get you there again. And if, let's say you are working with me and that happens, it does happen on occasion, because remember I said healing is not linear. I walk you through it. Sometimes you can hear the story of Franklin on the podcast, and how he's just an overdoer, and he would come in and be doing well and feeling better, and then he would go surf some crazy waves or do some crazy CrossFit thing. He would just overdo and end up with a flare up. And so then, each time I helped him through it, and now he's gaining a lot more awareness and knowledge in the boundaries of his body. And it's not to say that he doesn't surf. He's for sure back on the board and doing the things that he loves, just with a different mindset. So I have tons of stories like these. I really hope that if you can relate to any of this, that you take action now rather than later, and just wasting time, energy, Google searching, YouTubing, hoping that one day you'll wake up and get better, because it's a huge risk that when you do this, because it might just get a whole heck lot of worse. And I'm here to help provide hope and optimism, and I don't want to see you on the couch not being able to enjoy the life that you really want to live. Okay, so reach out to me. I'm here for you. I can't wait to see you and hear more about your story. Okay, goodbye for now.